Have you ever held a battery in your hand? That simple, modern cylinder of power. Now, imagine one that was sealed inside a sacred jar, buried under the dust of empires 3,000 years ago. What if the ancients weren't just building temples and tombs, but devices? This is a story of a mysterious artifact that shouldn't exist, a priest-king's secret, and a theory that connects a Hittite temple to the very concept of stored energy. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is the Unexplained Archive. In 2003, archaeologists excavating the ruins of Hattusha, the capital of the mighty Hittite Empire in modern-day Turkey, made a curious find. In the remains of a temple dedicated to the storm god, Tezhub, they uncovered a small, sealed jar. Inside was a carefully rolled copper cylinder, housing a thin iron rod. The cylinder was isolated from the rod by a hardened, non-conductive material, and nestled against the inner wall of the cylinder was a curious, greenish, crystalline substance. It was identified as a form of citric acid electrolyte. To the excavators, it was a ritual object, perhaps a protective amulet. But to a small group of scientists and alternative historians, this description sounded eerily familiar. They looked at it and said, "That's not a relic. That's a galvanic cell. Let's break that down." A simple battery, like the one Alessandro Volta invented in 1800, the voltaic pile, requires three basic components: two different metals, an anode and a cathode, and an electrolyte solution to facilitate a chemical reaction that produces a small electrical current. The Hattusha Object, now called the Baghdad Battery, though it's from a different place and era, matches this perfectly. The iron rod is one metal. The copper cylinder is the other. The greenish residue was the acidic electrolyte. When reconstructed and filled with a suitable electrolyte like vinegar or lemon juice, replicas of this device have been shown to produce between half a volt and 2 volts of electricity. Not enough to power a city, but enough for a subtle, visible, perhaps magical effect. So what would a Hittite priest, 3 millennia before Volta, do with a single volt of electricity? The most compelling theory isn't about practicality, it's about perception. Imagine you are a devotee, entering the dim, incense-filled chamber of Teshub's temple. The high priest holds a small, strange idol. He commands you to touch it, and as you do, a faint but unmistakable tingle, a divine shock, runs up your arm. Or perhaps the priest uses the current to electroplate a thin layer of gold or silver onto a statue, making it gleam as if by miracle. In an age where the line between technology and magic was indistinguishable, the control of such a force would be the ultimate source of power and authority. It wouldn't be a tool for lighting streets. It would be a tool for controlling minds and cementing the godlike status of the ruler. But here's where the mystery deepens, and where we must tread carefully. Mainstream archaeology remains deeply skeptical. They argue that if this was a widespread technology, we'd find more of them or evidence of their use. They posit it was simply a storage scroll for sacred texts, the acidic residue from decomposed parchment. The absence of wires or conductors is a major point of contention. Yet, the elegant, intentional construction nags at the rational mind. It's a perfect, self-contained unit. It feels designed. Sitting here in New York, surrounded by a grid of unimaginable power, I find this idea profoundly humbling. We think of innovation as a linear path, a straight climb from the wheel to the microchip. But what if knowledge is more fragile? What if it flickers, like a flame, in and out of history? A priest-king in a Bronze Age fortress might have held a secret that was then lost for centuries, buried not just in clay, but in the very way we perceive the past. It challenges our arrogance. It suggests that the spark of discovery can ignite in any era, only to be smothered by time, waiting for someone to dig it up and wonder. This was the Unexplained Archive. Our theme music and production are by Light Knot Studios. For a deeper dive into our sources and this artifact, visit our website at https://www.lightknotstudios.com. I've been your host, Ibnul J. Farabi. Until next time, keep questioning.